Hi, this is Eric from longboxreview.com. Welcome to the show and welcome to the March 2022 Spotlight episode, where I'm going to be talking about some comic book news, previews, and other things of interest to you. So first up, the news. So the first thing I have here, and there's not too many things actually, but what I found very interesting is that the wild cards concept will be, or has landed a home at Marvel. So writer Paul Cornell and artist Mike Hawthorne will be adapting the early days of the Wild Cards prose stories into a cohesive limited series titled Wild Cards: The Drawing of Cards. And so if you're not familiar with Wild Cards, this is a series, an anthology series that George R.R. Martin put together with a bunch of science fiction writers, including Melinda Snodgrass, Roger Zelazny, and others, that basically took a role-playing game, Super World, I think it was, and they took a campaign that they were working on for, 2 years, and decided to make it a series of stories in this anthology. And so this was a series of books that I read several of. I think it was actually brought up to me by a friend of mine in high school who said, "Have you read this Wild Cards series of books?" And I said, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And so he told me about it, and I found a copy in a used bookstore near the high school that I went to, and I devoured it. It was revelatory to me that you could write such interesting, serious fiction about superheroes. And that was partly the goal of the Wild Cards series of books by Martin and others. They wanted to do something, like I said, more serious and give it a sense of history, is what they said. So so basically the concept of the Wild Cards series is that there was a virus, I believe an alien virus, that was let loose upon the world in the 1940s, and some people got superpowers and became heroes, and other things too. They weren't all just superheroes, and they were called the Aces. And those who were affected by the virus in a bad way, where people were transformed into grotesque monsters, essentially. Those were referred to as jokers, and then a bunch of other people died as well. So anyway, it was a pretty good series there for a long time, especially that first book. I have a love of that first book, and then there's some others that followed that were really good too. So it's interesting that they are now bringing this to Marvel. I believe that there were other comic book adaptations as well, and then they've revived these books over the years. I think I saw that there were like nearly 30 of these books over the years that have been produced. But I'm pretty sure that I have seen other comic book adaptations as well. You don't quote me on that, but one little tidbit I did find out that has a comic book connection when I was researching this was that Neil Gaiman met with George R.R. Martin in 1987, and of course this is pulled from Wikipedia, so take it as you will. But I thought it was interesting. But Gaiman pitched a wild card story about a character who lives in a world of dreams. Martin declined because Gaiman didn't really have a whole lot of writing credits at that time, and Gaiman supposedly took that idea and, of course, turned it into the Sandman at DC. So I thought that was really cool, if true. So anyway, we get that from Marvel Comics coming up. All right, I just mentioned DC, and that's the next news bit, because Chip Zdarsky and artist Jorge Jimenez are going to take over Batman with issue 125. And so Zdarsky says that he plans to be around for a long time, and, quote, "Early on in the process, I let Jorge know I'd be going a little darker with the scripts, and Jorge immediately grabbed onto that and turned in pages that were gritty and intense. but still had the bigger-than-life energy of a Jorge Jimenez drawing. According to the article that I read, it claimed that Zdarsky may be the first writer to write both DC and Marvel's premier urban vigilantes at the same time. So that's interesting. Speaking of Daredevil, so at the time of this recording, I guess it's still a few days away, but by the time you hear this, it either will be shortly before or it's already happened. Anyway, starting March 16th, Disney Plus will be the new home of the Netflix Marvelverse shows like Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, The Defenders, Punisher, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So if you are a Disney Plus subscriber, you will now be able to watch all of those shows there. I wonder if they're going to take those and put them into the Marvel Cinematic Universe timeline that they have available. I've only seen Daredevil season 1, Jessica Jones season 1, and a smattering of some of these others. I think I made it through season 2, maybe part of season 3 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and a little bit of, like I said, a little bit of Luke Cage. I don't think I've seen any Iron Fist, and a couple episodes of The Defenders, and no Punisher. So, I mean, I was a Netflix subscriber, or I am a Netflix subscriber, and I never got around to those shows. I always intended to watch them eventually, but I know other people that have Disney Plus and like to watch things in that timeline, so that's why I was wondering about that. So anyway, there you go. So if you are a Disney Plus subscriber and not a Netflix subscriber, because they are raising their prices or have already raised their prices, I forget now. I saw this on Twitter. A lot of people were not all that keen on another price bump on or at Netflix. So maybe people will drop Netflix and go to Disney Plus to watch these shows. I don't know. Are you watching these shows? I'm sure all of you have, and I'm just way behind. All right, next to last, I have a bit of news about Dave Gibbons. So Dark Horse Books, which I didn't realize Dark Horse had a book publishing arm, is going to publish Confabulation, an anecdotal autobiography, which will be a collection of prose and artwork by Dave Gibbons, presented in alphabetical order that follows his life and career. And this is going to be out in October of this year. So it says here, Gibbons also discusses for the first time anywhere the end of his relationship with fellow Watchmen co-creator Alan Moore. The book is packed with over 300 iconic, rarely seen, and unpublished art pieces and photographs. So this is very interesting coming from Dave Gibbons. I went to a con. I forget now which one, but anyway, he was there. I asked him a question. I think the one and only time I've actually gotten up and asked a question during a panel. And I have no recollection whatsoever of what I asked him. It was like this blur of motion and sound on my part. And, even immediately after I asked the question and sat down, I could not remember what I asked him, which is very strange. But anyway, he was there, or after the panel, he was going back to his booth and was signing these new hardcover collections of Watchmen. And not only was he signing them, so of course I hightailed it from the panel to get in line, because there were only so many copies of the book that he had. At least that's what I was told. Anyway, I did get one, and he signed it. But not only did he do that, but he had a chair in front of where he was sitting behind the table, and he wanted people to sit down and talk with him, which I did. I had a little bit, very brief, but a wonderful little conversation with him. I don't remember what that conversation was about now. More's the pity. But my memory of this was such, it was such a nice interaction at the panel, at the table, and I have a lot of respect for Mr. Gibbons and his work. So I'm very much looking forward to this book, Confabulation, and also very intrigued by this whole alphabetical order thing. So I don't know what that means exactly, but. And finally, in the news section, The Batman film opened up this weekend as I record this. And based on the reaction on Twitter that I'm seeing, it's pretty darn good. I haven't seen it myself, but I'm very much looking forward to it. In fact, one of the folks I saw on Twitter praising it includes Jerry Conway, the renowned comic book writer. He said here, saw the Batman, best Batman movie, best serious movie based on a DC character. He said, he adds, it's possibly the only superhero movie where I have absolutely no quibbles. And if you follow Jerry on on Twitter, then you know he has no qualms about quibbles. So I thought that was very interesting. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to watching that movie, despite its near 3-hour running time. Okay, next up is a spotlight on a new comic, well, not new, newish comic book and creator or creators for the comic book I Am Hexed. So I was contacted by the author of this, the writer Kirsten Thompson, some time ago, and this is going back to my what I said about the first creator spotlight that I did a few episodes ago, where I get a lot of emails asking me to take a look at these comic books and review them or interview people, and I don't have time to keep up on all that stuff. But I wanted to still go through what I've collected in my email and talk about some things that I found interesting, and this is one of them. What intrigued me about this in the email from Ms. Thompson was she describes the comic book as paralleling the social unrest in today's world and the struggles of modern day witches. Well, that's a pretty good hook. And so I'll tell you what, I'm going to let her tell you more about this.
Hi, I'm Kirsten Thompson, and I'm the writer and creator of I Am Hexed. Witches have been a part of Washington, D.C. since it was founded, but it's only since the 1960s that they've chosen to openly fly on their broomsticks. Now, with the struggle for equality ongoing, Charlotte Charlie Helm, a junior staffer in witch from Roanoke, has been thrust into the murky political waters of Washington, D.C., and the conflict between witches and their political adversaries. Charlie, with the help of Jaya, her ex-girlfriend, Marco, an ex-boyfriend from college, Florence, a close friend and scientist, have to stay one step ahead of the magical and political forces that are hunting them down. We have an amazing team working on I Am Hexed. Christiane Dugros is on the interior artwork and colors. Sarah Duvall, also known as Little Corvus, on the cover featuring Charlie and Jaya. I Am Hexed is a political mystery thriller. It's a response to the current political climate and a parallel for the social unrest of everyone who's marginalized. Thanks for checking out I Am Hexed and joining the movement. And prepare to be bewitched.
So that was the audio from the first issue Kickstarter that Thompson put together. Since then, she has successfully Kickstartered. Can I say that? Is Kickstartered a verb now? Anyway, she's had all 4 issues successfully kickstarted and published. So at this time, you can go to the imhex.com website and purchase all 4 issues if you wish. And let's see, just a little bit more detail. So issue 1 was published in December 2018, and issue 4 was published in August of 2021. So not too long ago that issue 4 came out. And like I said, you can go to the website. Plus, you can go there and see a preview of the work. And I forgot to mention, so in that Kickstarter spotlight or Kickstarter introduction, Ms. Thompson referenced Christiane Guillenardo-Gaudreau as the artist, but she was the artist on issues 1 and 2, and Amagoya Aguirre was the artist on issues 3 and 4, with Taylor Esposito, letterer, on all of the issues. So that's your creative team on this. I found the premise of a supernatural political thriller to be very interesting. So maybe you will too. Check it out. Okay, and now we get to the previews portion of the Spotlight, and we'll start off with DC. So first up is Aquaman Andromeda. Written by Ram V, but it is the Christian Ward art, the preview images in the DC Connect that I thought looked phenomenal. So even if you're not an Aquaman fan, check out the Christian Ward art because it's just amazing. I will definitely be reading this on the DCU app when it appears, if it appears, because I still don't see the series Batgirls on there, and I'm really irritated about that. All right, from one Justice League member to the Justice League, or rather, should I say, the Jurassic League. And you probably have seen these promo images of the Justice League as dinosaurs. What else could I say beyond that? The Justice League is dinosaurs. Come on. Next up, Fables Returns with issue 151 for a supposedly 12 issue story. Featuring a new adversary and a new character called Green Jack by artist Mark Buckingham and Steve Leiloa? Is that how you say it? And of course, writer Bill Willingham coming back for I think it's like a 20th anniversary or 25th anniversary. I don't remember what it is now. Some anniversary, which is why they're bringing it back. Something new from Mr. Tom King and artist Jorge Fornes, the team that brought you Rorschach, is Danger Street, which is a new 12-issue series, limited series, that was inspired by and will use characters from the 1970s first issue special series, and will feature characters the Michael Thomas Starman, Metamorpho, Warlord, with supporting cast members of Manhunter, Lady Cop, the Green Team, and the Creeper, among others. There's also Dr. Fate in this mix as well. Anyway, I have had the hardcover collection of the first issue special series on my bookshelf to read for a while. And when I saw this Danger Street thing, and this Danger Street, there was a one issue that featured the Dingbats of Danger Street by, I think it was Jack Kirby. I don't have the book nearby to verify that now. But so I've been wanting to read it. This was a perfect time to go and read the whole thing, which I did. And now I'm super, super curious how Fornes and King are going to take those characters, those concepts, and turn them into what this new thing is. And I'm all in. I'll be getting those issues instead of waiting for a trade, because I'm like I said, I'm very curious how how they're going to pull all this off, because this is like Lady Cop, the Green Team. I mean, if you've not read these issues, some of these ideas are bonkers. But I will say, and I'm probably spoiling a future pull list review episode, but Jack Kirby could pull off some stuff. I tell you what. And then finally from DC, I realize this is DC heavy, but they had some really cool things. And this is one of them, Duo, which is a new Milestone comic book. So the Milestone now has this whole idea of Earth M. And I don't know if that's official, like it fits within the whole DC multiverse and all that stuff. Anyway, or it's some sort of publishing initiative thing. I don't know, like Earth One, right? Anyway, so they have this husband and wife who through these machinations are now combined. So through using nanobots. So it's kind of like Zombie meets Firestorm. And the few preview images that I saw and the concept I thought look pretty cool. So if that goes to the DCU app, I will be reading that for sure. All right, let's go on to Marvel and Secret Invasion. Again, enough said. I get it. I get why they want to do Secret Invasion. I think there's something coming along or coming up in the cinematic area regarding Secret Invasion. Anyway, synergy and all that. But, come on. They sure like to revisit these old things that sold well. That first Secret Invasion was really good. I just know. I just don't know. All right. Something though I thought was interesting. X-Men Legends #1. So X-Men Legends is a title in which classic X-Men characters tell tales set in their contemporary eras. And so this first one is written by Roy Thomas, which is what drew me to this. It's like Roy Thomas is writing X-Men, but specifically writing a Wolverine tale that is set before Giant Size X-Men #1. And has something to do with the yellow costume, why Wolverine has the yellow costume. Art is by Dave Wachter? Dave Wachter. This is a quote from Roy Thomas. "You could have knocked me over with one of the Angel's wing feathers when editor Mark Basso invited me to scribe a 2-part X-Men Legends story set back in the general period of the X-Men book during the time when I was originally writing it, as Stan's successor in the latter 60s. So yeah, if you are interested in flashback, previously unknown flashback stories about your favorite X-Men characters, written by, at least in this case, by a classic creator. I hope Mr. Thomas doesn't take offense at that term. There you go. So, all right, let's move on to Dark Horse. And 2 things from Dark Horse. First up is Pearl, Volume 3, I guess, by Michael Gaydos and Brian Michael Bendis. So the Jinx World stuff is now at Dark Horse, as I have talked about before. And we get this latest incarnation or latest volume of Pearl. I have talked about Pearl before. It was one of my favorite comics in 2019. If you're interested, go listen to episode 179 for that. But it is an interesting concept. It's about a tattoo artist who also is an assassin or becomes one. But it is the Michael Gaydos art that is stunning. It is beautiful. It's just gorgeous. So if nothing else, even if the concept of the comic book does not intrigue you, you should definitely take a look at it because it is beautiful artwork. So I will definitely be waiting for the trade on that one. Next up, and finally from Dark Horse, is the Eden trade paperback. This was done by Matthew Arnold and Riccardo Burchielli. Here is the description of it, because this is what drew me to this. In the near future, 2 convicts, a disgraced senator and her husband, are sentenced to 25 years in a cryogenic penal facility for a horrible crime they claim they didn't commit. When the prison malfunctions, accidentally releasing all of the prisoners, the escapees discover that they've been incarcerated for thousands of years and are now the only survivors of a global catastrophe that wiped out all of mankind. An event so devastating that prehistoric creatures now walk the earth once more. Will the world's worst criminals be able to rise to the challenge of building a better society than the one they left? And is true redemption ever really possible? And so this is collecting the Comixology series in print for the first time. So yeah, just the I'm a sucker for redemption tales, and just this premise. You get a bunch of quote unquote criminals together, and how does that work in terms of continuing the species, and what challenges do they face? It just sounds fascinating. So I wanted to call your attention to that in case you missed it. Although I have to say, unless the whatever caused this catastrophe, if prehistoric creatures now walk the earth, I just like, what? Okay, thousands of years? Are we talking hundreds of thousands, or just, a few thousand? I know it's just comic books, but still, it makes me wonder, how would that work? Anyway. All right. Moving on to Image. I have a couple of things here. One is Crossover Volume 2, The 10-Cent Plague. I discussed how much I enjoyed Crossover Volume 1 in episode 202, and I can't wait to see what crossover or crossovers we see in volume 2. So yeah, this is probably my favorite thing that I've read of Donny Cates. So yeah, go check that out. And then here's a new one, also kind of like Eden from Dark Horse, but just the concept intrigued me. 8 Billion Genies, which is a miniseries from Ryan Brown and Charles Soule. And so it says here, at exactly the same moment, everyone on Earth gets a genie and one wish. All hell breaks loose in a very entertaining way, and that's just the beginning. So just the idea, what if we all had one wish? What would the world, how chaotic and crazy and weird and maybe even wonderful would the world be if we all had one wish? I guess, just that concept. That's a great concept. So I'm very curious what that really looks like according to these creators. And I'll probably be getting that once it's collected. From Aftershock, I have My Date with Monsters by Andy McDonald and Paul Tobin. So the description here is, 7 years ago, an attempt to weaponize dreams resulted in holes being punched through the world we know and into that world of dreams. Nightmarish creatures now stalk the land, sprouting from and killing anyone unlucky enough to dream. The only way to save the world is for certain people to have their dreams come true. Which is how Risa Himura finds herself not only fighting monsters, but forced into finding true love. Monsters and modern dating, it feels like a nightmare either way. So yeah, that's just this concept of dreams, weaponized dreams and dreams killing you and the whole love mix. What? This seems like, or sounds like it would not work, but I'm very curious. From AWA Studios, a book that I have been waiting to be collected is Knighted by Mark Texiera and Greg Hurwitz. So this is kind of like a Batman homage, I guess. Bob Ryder is a hapless bureaucrat whose bad luck streak comes to a crescendo when he accidentally kills the city's mass vigilante, the Knight. Oops. Now Bob is forced to take on the mantle of the legendary hero before the city descends into chaos. Good thing he's got the Knight's former butler/assistant to show him the ropes. So, playing with the Batman tropes. But it really reminds me of like a superhero version of the Santa Claus. Have you seen that movie? What was it? Who did it star? Tim Allen. So this is a movie from 1994, and there's been a few sequels since then. But if you take out a superhero, you have to take on their persona. So that just sounds really cool to me. And then finally, not comic books, but comic book related, from Tomorrow's Publishing, back issue 137, which is going to focus on various 1980s pre-crisis DC miniseries. For example, the Green Arrow miniseries, Secrets of the Legion, Tales of the Green Lantern Corps, Krypton Chronicles, America versus the Justice Society, Legend of Wonder Woman, Conqueror of the Barren Earth, and more. Now, of those, I have most of them, or have read most of them. But, if you are a fan of like the 1980s comic book miniseries from DC, I think this would be a very interesting magazine for you. I don't get every back issue magazine, but man, this is very enticing. I probably will get this one. And I hope, if they haven't already done this and I missed it somehow, I hope they do one for the 1980s Marvel miniseries, because I have gone back in the last year, bought a bunch of miniseries, some DC, but most of them from Marvel that I always wanted to read and never did. I couldn't afford them back then, so I bought them now, or in the last year, like I said. So I still have a lot of those to read. And then very finally, again from Tomorrow's, this is Team Up Companion, which examines team-up comic books of the Silver and Bronze Ages of comics. DC's The Brave and the Bold, and DC Comics presents Marvel's Marvel Team Up and Marvel 2-in-1, plus other team-up titles. treasuries and treats, and a lushly illustrated selection of informative essays, special features, and trivia-loaded issue-by-issue indexes for those who enjoy indexes, which I am one of those. I have a few of Tomorrow's companion books, and boy, are they a lot of fun. For the Legion Project podcast with Peter, I often go to the Legion companion book that I have from Tomorrow's to offer some creator insights or discussion points, history. So, if you are interested in that aspect of comic book reading and comic books in general, then I highly recommend Tomorrow's companion books. Okay, that's it. There you have it. My spotlight episode for March. Send feedback to longboxreview@gmail.com or leave comments at the website. You can also talk to me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at longboxreview. Hey, please let people know about the show and leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and any other platform that has such rankings. I'd appreciate it very much. And with that, I leave you. Thanks for listening, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.